9.1. The explanation for the ratings of 1963 is simple. There wasn't much choice. Most major cities had only 4 channels: CBS, NBC, ABC, and a non-profit station of some sort. At most. People in some markets had access to just 1 channel. The monopoly in Austin, Texas, where the lone station was owned by Lady Bird Johnson, was the most notorious example. The limited choices in television viewing were just one example of something that would come as a surprise to a child of the 21st century transported back to 1963. The lack of all sorts of variety and a simplicity that now seems almost quaint. Popular music consisted of a single top 40 list, with rock, country, folk, and a fair number of 50s-style ballads lumped together. No separate stations specializing in different genres, except for country music stations in a few parts of the nation. Except in university towns and the very largest cities, bookstores were small and scarce, usually carrying only a few hundred titles. No Amazon. If you didn't see a movie during the week or two it was showing in your town, you would probably never see it. No DVDs. With television, you either saw a show the night it played, or waited until it was repeated once during the summer. No TiVo. People drove cars made in the United States. Foreign cars from Europe were expensive and rare. Cars from Japan had just been introduced in 1963, but had not been greeted with enthusiasm. Made in Japan was synonymous with products that were cheap and shoddy. You might see an occasional sports car on the road, Ford's Thunderbird or Chevrolet's Corvette, but the vast majority of customers chose among sedans, convertibles, and station wagons made by General Motors, Ford, or Chrysler. The typical American city of 1963 had appallingly little choice in things to eat. In a large city, you would be able to find a few restaurants serving Americanized Chinese food, a few Italian restaurants serving spaghetti and pizza, and a few restaurants with a French name, which probably meant that they had French onion soup on the menu. But if you were looking for a nice little Szechuan dish, or linguine with pesto, or sautéed foie gras, forget it. A Thai curry? The first Thai restaurant in the entire nation wouldn't open for another 8 years. Sushi? Raw fish? Are you kidding? On this Thursday, November 21st, television's prime-time lineup included The Flintstones, The Donna Reed Show, My 3 Sons, Perry Mason, and The Perry Como Show. But it was the 14th rated show, Dr. Kildare, that made Time magazine's recommended viewing. The story that week involved a pregnant, unmarried teen who had gotten an abortion. She was so psychologically shattered by the experience that even Dr. Kildare couldn't help. He had to refer her to a psychiatrist in another CBS program, The 11th Hour, for an episode that would air a week later. She shouldn't have gotten pregnant in the first place, of course. Getting pregnant without being married was wrong, and if a girl did get pregnant, then she and the boyfriend who had gotten her in that fix were supposed to get married. If she didn't get married, she should put the baby up for adoption. These were conventional views shared across the political spectrum. As of 1963, Americans continued to obey those norms with remarkable consistency. The percentage of births to single women, known as the illegitimacy ratio, had been rising worrisomely among Negroes, the only respectful word for referring to African Americans in 1963. But among whites, the illegitimacy ratio was only 3%. About where it had been throughout the century. Marriage was nearly universal, and divorce was rare across all races. In the 1963 Current Population Survey, a divorced person headed just 3.5% of American households, with another 1.6% headed by a separated person. Nor did it make much difference how much education a person had. The marriage percentages for college grads and high school dropouts were about the same. Not only were Americans almost always married, mothers normally stayed at home to raise their children.